Hi, good morning students. Welcome to your geography lecture. So as said before, we had one more video left for the explanation of your ninth lesson, that is energy resources. So today I am here with you to learn and explore more about energy resources that is there in in India, in the world, and we're going to explore more in detail about each energy resources that we have learned in previous video, that is substance based and process based. Okay, so without wasting much of your time and my time, I'll be going with the topic very soon. Yeah, I guess you all have seen this picture, right? What is substance-based energy resources? It's biotech, it's from the remains of plants and animals and all we have learned. Now, as we talk about substance-based energy resources, we have resources like wood, coal, mineral oil, natural gas, biogas, energy from waste material, atomic energy, all under substance-based energy resources. Now we are going to learn each and everything in detail. First one, I'll take up wood. Now we observe different types of trees in our surroundings, right? Wherever we go outside our house or at our native place, while we travel in through train and all, we find different types of trees and all. No trees is, we cannot say everywhere the same kind of tree. No, every tree is different from each other. Now these woods are utilized in different ways, or I could say in many ways. For example, in villages, wood obtained from trees are used on a large scale in earthen stoves. Okay, but it produces large smoke. They create pollution. Even forests are getting depleted due to excessive use of wood, causing threat to the environment. Now, when I speak about coal, we have seen coal in blacksmith's shop, right? Like, see here, blacksmith is there and he's having coal in his hand in that sack and all. So he does this work in coal actually. Or else we have also seen coal where corns are roasted on coal burner. Corns that we get in rainy season, normally not only rainy season, even now also we get in some shops. Even that is roasted on the coal burner. Do you know how it is formed? Okay, I'll teach you. During ancient times, due to Earth's movements, the remains of the plants and animals were buried beneath the Earth's surface, or I should say land surface. Now, due to very high pressure below the Earth's surface, the heat below made them to decompose. All these remains were then decomposing by themselves. Hence, what happened at last? Only carbon element was left behind. And this carbon element that was left behind was then formed as coal, slowly and slowly. Hence, we have an energy resource as coal. Now, energy obtained from burning of coal is much, much higher than wood. Even one more thing, have you all heard about charcoal? No? Just learn it. Come on. Charcoal is also a type of coal, children. It is also formed by burning of wood in low oxygen environment. Now, when compared to coal and charcoal, charcoal does not produce smoke during combustion. Combustion is a kind of heating process which is done while the people are cooking food in the home using such an earthen stove and all. So it produces they do not produce any smoke during combustion. The utility of coal is decided on the basis of its quality. We have coal of different qualities. Now the low grade coal is generally used for cooking purpose, and high grade coal is mainly used in industries and also for generation of thermal power. Understood till here what wood, coal and charcoal? Fine. Let's move to the next part, that is mineral oil and natural gas. Mineral oil is found beneath the land surface or the ocean floor, which we have already learned in our previous video. We know it, right? Now, similar to coal, even mineral oil was also formed by the decomposition of plants and animals that are buried due to Earth's movements. Now, the reserves of natural gas. That means the places where these are being formed and are being preserved were also found in most of the mineral oil wells. Now, due to increase in demands, the prices of natural gas is also too high. For example, like petrol, diesel, kerosene, fuel oil, all have high prices and they can be extracted from the mineral oil. Do you know one more thing? Mineral oil is also called as black gold because of its blackish color. And also not only that, it's also because of its high value. Even natural gas as a fuel is very convenient to use because it burns quickly without leaving any residue. Residue means any kind of remains. It can be easily transported with the help of pipelines. I'll show you. See, when I speak about this mineral oil, how it is transported using pipelines. Now, different forms of mineral oil, natural gas, see given over here like methane, ethane, propane, butane. Yeah. So all these are kinds of formed by the carbon element that is left, and these are having high value. And also the most important thing over here is that the combustion of natural gas can be controlled. Both mineral oil and natural gas are used for generation of thermal power. They are used for generation of thermal power. Now look at this map. Observe the map. We have some questionnaires. Which state have coal field? See the color of the coal given in that index column. It's almost grey color. So find in the map of India the grey colored figures which are shown on either sides or either directions, and find out which state have coal field. Anyone out there? Yeah. As shown in the map, states of Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, West Bengal, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Telangana, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu, Sikkim, Jammu and Kashmir, Assam have coal field. Getting me? Are you able to find out? See, I'll just show you some of them. Just find it out. See over here. I'll just highlight it. See over here. Can you see this? See, whichever I am just showing you like this. See. See, all these areas are having coal field. These yellow circles. Clear now? Okay. Now, which mineral oil field is located in the Arabian Sea? Check out the Arabian Sea given over the left side. Now, which mineral oil field is there? What is the name given over there? Even this diagram is there. This map of India is there in your textbook as well. I have taken it from there. See, it's written clearly. It's Mumbai High. See, it's written over here. Mumbai High is the mineral oil field. Next, two states which have coal field on a large scale, Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh. Where are mineral oil field in the northeast India? In the northeast India. See, northeast India. These are northeast India. Now, which are the places? Kindly say it to me. Yeah, Digboi, Makhum, Naharkatia, Nunmati, Lakhani, Assam are the places where the mineral oil field is in the northeast India. Digboi, Digboi, Makum, Makum, Naharkatia, Naharkatiya, Nunmati, Nunmati, Lakhani, Lakhani, Assam, Assam. These names are also provided to you there in the northeastern side. See, the names are written in small letters. Even you can find it in your textbook. The reserves of which mineral is found in Godavari basin? Yeah, very right. Reserves of coal are found in Godavari basin. See, Godavari basin is shown over here. Okay. Yeah. So this we complete with our map. Some small questions from your textbook. With the map we have observed and we have written the answers. Now, next kind of substance-based resource is biogas. Now, what is biogas? Anyone? I guess you all should know it, right? Yeah, biogas is an energy resource based on natural process. It is widely used in villages. It can be produced using biotic waste like feces of animal, leaves, vegetables, etc. In biogas plant, microorganisms decompose the waste material to obtain methane gas. Now this can be used for activities like cooking, heating water, lighting lamp, etc. Even biogas is very convenient to use. Even it produces excellent fertilizers during the formation process, which is very good for irrigation or agricultural work. Hence, farmers store biogas plants in their house yards. Many areas in villages, we can find almost all houses having biogas plant. It's very useful for them, and their household uses, or their farming uses, agricultural uses, or anything. Biogas is very helpful to all the houses located in the villages. Now next, energy from waste material. In big cities, large amount of wastes are generated every day. Like, we live in big cities, right? We know every day we could see how many vehicles in the morning where they're coming from one place to another, collecting all the waste. We have a dumping ground in near Durgadi areas. I guess you might have seen when you were traveling from there, big hill kind of thing is formed of all the waste that we are having, right? Now, all these waste that is generated, we can also create energy from there. How? Their disposal is a huge problem if in large quantity. So there can be solution obtained by segregation of waste, like we have now, wet and dry and all. And by using this using biotic waste for production of gas, we can have a kind of energy being produced. The electricity can be generated using these gas. This can make the cities self-reliant with respective power needs, and at the same time the problem of this disposal can also be resolved. You know, Normally we dump the waste and we just do it. But household waste which we get from the kitchen and all, we can, if we garden, if we have the habit of gardening, if we have small plants at our terrace or balconies, just get this kitchen waste, keep it for some time with the mud, mix it with the mud, and after some days you will find that it is mixed up with the mud, and we get a good manure which we can use in our plants. So instead of just dumping all this, and avoid the use of plastics and all at home. This will automatically help you to reduce the waste from home. If once each home does this kind of method, automatically the waste that is generated will decrease. The kitchen waste will go to the plants, and simultaneously you can reduce much of the waste at home. Even these waste also, if it is segregated properly as dry, wet and all, it may help the people working there for producing energy to get biotic waste separately and produce energy from that. At last, we have atomic energy as a substance-based energy resource. The process of splitting an atom of a mineral is called as nuclear fission, which is shown over here in the diagram. I guess you all can see it clearly over here. I'll just show you. See this? This is called splitting. See, it's moving away. They are splitting away. This is called as nuclear fission. That leads to release of large amount of energy. Now this energy is known as atomic energy. Now here children, neutrons are bombarded on the atoms of minerals like uranium, thorium, etc. Now Tarapur power station in Maharashtra was the first in India to generate electricity using atomic energy. Now when I speak more about this, the power obtained by 1 kilogram of uranium is equivalent means is equal to the power obtained by 10,000 tons of coal. Just think, 1 kilo of uranium, the energy obtained from it is equal to 10,000 tons of coal. So just think how much coal is required to produce the same energy with just 1 kilogram of uranium. So how much coal are we wasting? So hence what happens, we are just coal will get depleted if we use more of it. Rather we can, instead of using coal to produce energy, we can have uranium atoms kind of things to produce energy, because in less quantity we get more energy. So why to just get coal all over, like for all different uses, and get it depleted? So we have an option, we can use atoms for producing energy. Now coming to the next part, we have completed with our substance-based energy resources. Now we'll move towards process-based energy resources. Till here, have you all understood? Any doubts? If anything, please don't fail to ask. I am there here to help you with any kind of doubts in whatever topics I have taught you. Okay. Coming to process-based energy resources. As we all know, process-based energy resources non-conventional and abiotic energy resources, right? Is anyone who think that no, it is not? Yeah, we all know. If other the substance based is biotic, then process based is abiotic. If substance based is conventional, then process based is non-conventional. Now we have some resources like hydropower, wind energy, solar cooker, and energy from oceanic water, that is tidal energy. Then geothermal power for generation center, and all are the types of process based energy resources. Now the first one I am taking is hydel power. Hydel itself water, power generated using water. The power obtained from the kinetic energy of the flowing water. See, the flowing water produces kinetic energy, and the water stored in the dam which is there on top over here, see this place, produces potential energy. So here it is potential and the flowing water produces kinetic energy. This means the kinetic energy of water can be used to generate electricity. Hydel power does not cause any environmental degradation as such. Also, the water that is used for generating electricity can be reused as many times. Not only that, these water, when it's used and left over, can be also used for agriculture and other purposes. You know, there is a power station, Bakra Nangal in Punjab and Koina in Maharashtra, which are some of the examples of hydel power. Children, now just try to name 4 hydel power stations in our state. Do you know? Are you aware of any 4 hydel power stations of our state? Okay, I'll help it out. You know, Koina Dam, it has hydel power station. Bhatsa, Yaldari, Jayakwadi, all these 4 are the hydel power stations in our state, Maharashtra. The electricity generated in these power stations are then transmitted to consumers like us in our homes. Now, do you know one more thing? Nowadays, electricity can be transmitted up to a distance of 800 kilometers from the power generation center without any transmission loss. Transmission loss means without any leakages till 800 kilometers. Beyond 800 kilometers, yeah, there is a leakage. So they have certain procedures done over there which help them to either avoid it or decrease the amount of leakages at that places. Let us go to the next process based energy resource. That is wind energy. Since thousands of years, man has been using wind energy. Now, example of it is sailboats or yacht. Do you also have seen it, yacht and all, which no normally it works on wind. Wind energy is also used for generating electricity. Not only for boats and all, it's also used for generating electricity. However, the speed of wind of 40 to 50 kilometers is required for the power generation. Now, due to this, the wind's speed, the blades of the windmill just keep on turning based on the force that is applied to it. Now, this force that is applied to the blades of the windmill makes it rotate, and this rotation thus produces energy which is generating kinetic energy. Now, this kinetic energy is further again converted into electricity, and electricity that is being produced is used for homes, is used for agriculture, is used for some industries and other areas as well. Now when I speak about the state of Maharashtra, we have these windmills situated at different places. Also other states like Karnataka, Tamil Nadu also have windmills which are erected at many places. Okay, so we have understood some of the information about wind energy and its uses. Coming up to the next one. So this is how windmills are rotating, and it helps in the production of electricity. The passing of electricity is shown in yellow color over here. Next is solar energy. We all know what does sun give us? Yes, sun give us heat and light. Now we get heat and light from the sun, right? Now the power generated through solar energy depends upon the intensity and duration of sunlight. Now, when I speak about solar energy, uh, we have most of the sun's heat and light falling in the torrid zone on Earth. We have learned about three different zones on Earth: torrid, temperate and frigid. Sun's heat and light is there in high percentage in the torrid zone. So in a country like India where we live, it's normally much in the torrid zone, and hence we are lucky enough to produce solar energy in a high quantity. Hence we have many solar power plants. Some of the examples are solar power plant at Sakri in Nandurbar district of Maharashtra. Even in Kerala we have a solar power plant in one of the airports in Cochin, where the solar power plant is kept under the like in one of the area behind the airport. Now devices like cookers, lamps, water heaters, many vehicles can all be run in solar power. The generation of solar power depends on the intensity, that is depth of the sun rays, and the duration till how much time the sun is there, and when it sets down. After that we cannot produce solar energy. From the rising of sun till the setting of sun we can produce solar energy and store it. Understood? Now some of the major solar energy projects in the world I am speaking. Till now I said about Maharashtra and Kerala, that is in India. We have apart from that also like Agua Calinit solar project at Arizona, California Valley Solar Unit at California in USA, then Golmund Solar Park in China, then Charanka Solar Park in Gujarat, Wellspam Energy Project at Madhya Pradesh. So these are some of the solar power projects all over the world. Coming up to the next one now. Next is tidal energy. Now, tidal energy, we love to go to beaches, right? Why we go to beaches? To play in the water, to play in sea water, to enjoy with the sand. But there are many other uses of these waters. One is we know already that we get salt from it. Second, we know we get different kinds of minerals and all from it. So the last thing that we get is like more than that, but much important in this lesson which speaks about these beaches and all this sea water, oceanic waters, is energy production from the tides. Hence it is called as tidal energy, because energy is produced using the tides that are flown in this beaches or oceans or seas. Now when I speak about it, the movements of ocean water takes place through sea waves and tides. Now with the help of technology, the speed and force of these waves can be used for power generation. Here kinetic energy is converted into electric energy. It's actually these tidal energy are pollution free and they are inexhaustible. India is a peninsular region. Peninsular region, we can see the V shape of it, and all the three parts are covered with sea, oceanic waters and all. Hence it is called as peninsular region with a coastline of 7,516 kilometers. Hence India can make use of this energy in a very large scale. Efforts are also made to start such projects in India. Not only that, even the energy that is produced from this is being stored at places, and then we have electricity and various other things, various other energy that is produced. Clear? Understood till here? Anything you want to ask? Fine. I'm moving towards the last type of energy resource, that is process based energy resource, and that is geothermal energy. Geothermal energy, when I speak about it, it's about the hot water springs which people normally like to visit. To see from underground water is just flowing up. So why this happens? It's because of the heat or the pressure under the earth's surface. Hot water springs are always a curiosity of people like us. We always like to visit such places. They can be seen at Unabdev, Vajreshwari, Manikaran and all. These areas are very famous for hot water springs. Now why, children? Why I speak about these hot water springs and geothermal energy? The temperature in the earth's interior just increases by 1 degree Celsius at a depth of every 32 meters, which is shown over there in the diagram. See, For every 1 degree Celsius, for a depth of 32 meters, the temperature just increases 1 degree Celsius. After every 32 meters, if the heat is more, it increases by 1 degree Celsius. Now what happens? Due to this, there is a kind of energy that is produced from the earth's crust, which flows above the earth to the land, and thus it is released through hot water springs. Now when man developed this process, by these underground heat is coming through hot water springs, he went through an idea of generating energy or generating power for using these hot water springs. And we have one such project located at Manikaran, Himachal Pradesh in India. Even this geothermal energy is causing very less pollution. They are also inexhaustible energy resource. It's very it's very lucky enough to have these high pressure like heat underground, which is also again used for producing energy. Otherwise, just think, earth is having so much of heat under its earth's crust, and if nothing is done, what will happen? So even man has come up with this idea of creating energy using the heat under the earth's crust. So we are again into process-based energy resources, which are abiotic, which are inexhaustible, which causes very less pollution, and we have so much of energy produced using it. So here we have done with our energy resources lesson. Now when I speak about energy resources, I have something to say you. Energy resources are very important. It must be used very carefully. We know that the population of India, not only India, the world itself, it's increasing to a large, like it's more than a limit. Population is just increasing and increasing. So what happens is even the demand increases all the time due to growing population. Not only population, but urbanization, the standard of living, the needs of people, all are increasing to sky limit or above it. So it's very important for us to find an alternative or use non-conventional energy resources more in as compared to conventional energy resources. It's very important to use them valuably, properly, as required. It's also necessary for us to avoid unnecessary use of electricity. If we know that we are staying at one room, why to just switch on the lights and fans of all other rooms? No need of it. Simply why? Because you're afraid. Who will kill you? Nobody will kill you. Be happy, safe at your place, wherever you are, just have that particular light and fans on. Simply don't go for, one person at one room and that fan light, everything is on. If two people can sit at a room, why to just, have two different rooms having one person? So try to use energy resource properly, have proper use of it, have proper maintenance of it. Only then the future generations, those who are coming up, will use it wisely, will have at least usage of it. It should not be like extinct and we are without lights and fans. So here we are done with energy resource lesson completely with explanation and notes. I guess you all have understood it. Still, if any doubts, please don't forget to ask me. Don't feel any shy to come up with your doubts. I'm always there to help you out. Bye till then. Have a nice day. See you soon with the next video of next lesson, that is lesson number 10. Till then, tada!